Hi everybody, welcome to Make Sense of Math. I'm Michelle, and in this video we will be talking about how to add and subtract integers with zero pairs and the charge model. In this lesson, we'll be adding and subtracting integers using what's called the charge model and zero pairs. So to start off, we're going to talk about what are zero pairs. In math, we call zero pairs numbers that when combined together will give us zero. So if I have -5 and I have a 5, they will combine. If I combine them together, they will give me 0. Quite simple, like -3 and 3. We're going to be using a lot -1 and 1 in this lesson. To represent those, I'm just going to use a negative and a positive. So I have a negative and a positive, something that is a zero pair. When I add them together, they're going to cancel out and give me 0. So let's use this concept to add integers. Now, I'm going to suggest that you start off by circling the operation of the problem. In some places, it's really easy, but when you start dealing with subtraction and negatives, it's easy to get confused if it's a negative sign or if it's the subtraction sign. So look at this first example, and now this is simple. I know you know that 3 plus 5 is 8, but we're going to start with this just so you can see kind of how the charge model works. So if I have 3, I'm going to represent that by 3 positives, and I am joining that with 5, which we're going to represent by 5 positives. So 3 plus 5 will give me 8. Looking at the next one, I have -3 plus, circle that, plus 5. -3 will represent by 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3, and 5 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here you can see we're going to have 0 pairs. If I combine a negative and a positive, they will cancel and give me 0. So I actually have 3 0 pairs here. These ones right here are not 0 pairs because it's 2 positives, and I combine those and that gives me 2. So -3 plus 5 is 2. Going on to the next one, 3 plus a -5. I have 3 positives, and I am joining that with 5 negatives. Again, I have some 0 pairs here that I combine them, they'll give me 0. Combine. So I have 0 there, and this is what I have left over. 3 plus a -5 is -2. Last addition one will do. -3 plus a -5. I have 3 negatives, and I'm combining that with 5 negatives and no 0 pairs, and I am left with -8. Before we subtract integers, we're going to talk about how we can actually rewrite subtraction into an addition problem. And we're going to want you to think subtraction as adding the opposite, and you're going to be adding the opposite of the second quantity. So let's look at the numbers 5 minus, let's go with 5 minus 7. Again, I'm going to circle this right here so we can see that it's a subtraction sign. Okay, so we're going to have 5. We're going to, instead of subtract, we're going to change this to an addition, and we're going to add the opposite of this second number. The opposite of 7, this is a positive 7 because this symbol right here, this subtraction symbol is a subtraction symbol. It's not a negative. So the opposite of 7 will give us -7. Okay, and let's do another one. We have -3 minus 9. So again, that's my subtraction symbol. I'm going to be adding the opposite of this. So I have -3. I'm going to change this to an addition. And the opposite of 9, I'm going to use my parentheses so I can separate this with my addition sign. I'm adding, -9 here. Okay, and then this one you can really see what's the advantage of writing subtraction into an addition problem. Let's go 5 minus a -2. So we're going to be, again, we're adding the opposite of this second number here, in which in this case it is a negative, because this symbol right here is my subtraction sign. So I have 5, and I'm adding, going to change this to an addition, adding the opposite of -2, which is 2. And you can see right here the advantage of writing subtraction into an addition. 5 minus a -2 looks a lot more complicated and confusing than 5 plus 2, which we know is 7. So we're going to use this idea to subtract our integers. So again, circling the operation here, we're going to change this into an addition problem. So 3 minus 5. 3 changes to an addition, plus the opposite of 5 is -5. And then I'm going to do my charge model. I have 3, joining that with 5 negatives. Here are my 0 pairs. I got cancel, 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 and I'm left with -2. So 3 minus 5 is -2. Next one, 3 minus 5. No, sorry, -3 minus 5. I'm going to add the opposite of the second negative number. So -3 plus the opposite of 5 is -5. Do my charge model. I have 3 negatives and I have 5 negatives. I have 0 pairs, and I can combine -3 and -5 and I get -8. -3 minus 5 is -8. Next one, -3 minus a -5. So I have 3. I'm going to add the opposite of this number right here. So I'm going to add the opposite of -5, which is 5. And 3 plus 5, I can do the charge model, but we know that is 8. Last one, -3 minus a -5. We're going to change it to an addition problem. -3 plus the opposite of -5 is 5. So I have 3 negatives, and I'm joining that with 5 positives. And I'm going to do my 0 pairs cancels. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Oops, I only did 4 negatives, 4 positives, excuse me. Let me do one more. There we go. Okay, so and then I'm left right here with 2 positives, and that gives me 2. So hopefully that can give you an idea of how to add and subtract integers using 0 pairs and the charge model. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you to understand how to add and subtract integers, or if you are an educator, to how to teach it more effectively. It's a strategy that I have used repeatedly, and my students retain this information very well. If you are interested in more products to help your students make sense of math or strategies, I will link to my website, which has lots of tips and teaching strategies below, and also some products that will always focus on making sense of math.